You had a rough week. So you open your phone, you find something you like, and you tell yourself one sentence that ends the entire debate. I deserve this. 10 minutes later, it's in your cart. 20 minutes later, it's paid for. And for about an hour, you feel amazing. Then the box shows up 3 days later and you don't even remember why you wanted it. That's not weak willpower. That's not you being bad with money. That's your brain running a very specific, very old program. And once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. Here's the thing. Your brain doesn't actually reward you for the purchase. It rewards you for the relief. Treat yourself isn't a splurge. It's a pressure release valve. And once you understand what pressure it's releasing, the spending starts to make a disturbing kind of sense. So let's open it up. Stick around. Because the third pattern is the one that quietly drains the most money out of people who think they're being responsible, and almost nobody notices it happening to them. Pattern 1, the stress relief swap. Your brain doesn't distinguish between emotional pain and physical pain the way you'd expect. Both light up overlapping regions tied to distress. So when you're stressed, your nervous system goes looking for anything that turns the alarm off. Fast. Buying something does that. Not because the object matters, but because the decision itself, I am choosing something good for myself right now, signals control. And control is the thing stress takes away from you first. That's why the purchase almost never matches the stressor. Bad day at work, new shoes, fight with a partner, a $40 candle you didn't need. The item is basically irrelevant. It's a stand-in for something your brain actually wanted, to feel like it was steering the ship again even for 5 minutes. Pattern 2, the anticipation high. Here's what's crazy. The dopamine spike doesn't happen when the package arrives. It happens when you hit buy. Dopamine, despite the reputation, isn't really a pleasure chemical. It's an anticipation chemical. It fires hardest in the gap between wanting and having, which means the good feeling from a treat-yourself purchase is almost entirely front-loaded. By the time the thing actually shows up, the chemical high is already gone. You're just left holding an object that has to somehow justify a feeling that already happened 3 days earlier. No wonder it never quite delivers. Pattern 3, the identity purchase. But here's what nobody tells you. Some treat-yourself spending isn't about stress relief at all. It's about identity repair. Imagine 2 people, both scrolling online after a hard day. One buys a $12 coffee and moves on with her life. The other buys a $200 jacket she can't really afford, not because she needs it, but because for a second, wearing it, she gets to be the version of herself who has it together. Who's successful? Who deserves nice things? That's not impulsiveness. That's your brain trying to close a gap between who you are and who you wish you were, and it's using your credit card to do it. Psychologists call this compensatory consumption. When self-esteem takes a hit, people reach for purchases that symbolically patch the wound. The object isn't the point. The identity it borrows for you is. And that's the pattern that quietly costs people the most because it never feels like spending. It feels like self-care. It feels earned. Sound familiar? And now the part almost nobody talks about. All 3 of these patterns share one mechanism underneath them. The Zeigarnik Effect, your brain's tendency to fixate on unfinished, unresolved things far more than finished ones. Stress is an open loop. An identity gap is an open loop. And a treat-yourself purchase feels like closing it, but it doesn't close it. It just distracts you from it for a while. The same way scratching an itch doesn't cure what's making you itchy. That's why the relief is so short. And why you're back at the checkout screen again next week, chasing the same 5 minutes of calm. Once you see the loop for what it is, you don't have to shut it off completely. You just have to give it somewhere else to go. Naming the actual feeling, I'm not tired, I'm overwhelmed, closes far more of that loop than any purchase ever will because you're addressing the thing your brain was actually asking for. So here's the quick version. 1, your spending spikes aren't random. They follow your stress. 2, the high comes from the click, not the delivery, so the item was never going to satisfy you the way the moment of buying it did. 3, some purchases aren't treats at all. They're identity patches for a version of you that feels just out of reach, and underneath all of it, one open loop your brain is desperate to close. You're not bad with money. You're just really, really good at finding fast exits from feelings you haven't looked at yet. The next time your thumb hovers over buy now, ask yourself one question first. What am I actually trying to escape? Answer that honestly, and the treat stops needing to be a purchase at all.